Wow. Elon Musk is releasing a new interview that could change everything for Bitcoin. He's talking about the future of money, and he's also discussing AI. And this is extremely explosive for Bitcoin because it could drive the Bitcoin price up massively. If what he's talking about actually comes true, and that we will really live in abundance in the future, because we're just going to be so productive through robotics, through AI. It's getting easier to build houses. It's getting easier. Let's say our standard of living, to be able to improve our standard of living through automation. At some point, robots will build houses and much more. This changes everything regarding Bitcoin, money, and also our standard of living. He's also talking about a universal basic income, which definitely needs to be looked at critically. But let's dive right into the clips that Elon Musk has to share here. Because what you really need to understand here is, if our lifestyle keeps getting simpler, if at some point maybe, instead of working 40 hours, you might only have to work 20 hours or maybe not work at all. Because AI is just taking over everything, because the robots are taking over everything. That's definitely a bit of an exaggerated world that Elon Musk is painting here. Maybe some are on board with this, some are not. Can you please help me below? Share your thoughts. But what if it really happens like Elon Musk says, and we end up living in a world of abundance? And there's everything in abundance? What does that mean? And there's everything in abundance. So what does that mean? What people want the most? That's pretty clear. Bitcoin, something that's absolutely limited, because if we move into a society of abundance through AI, technological progress, and whatever else, then people will naturally chase after everything that's scarce. And the only truly relevant asset that promises absolute scarcity here is Bitcoin. And accordingly, this interview and the clip he's sharing or released is so highly controversial. Listen up.
I have a question, and what is going to do for people? What is going to do for people? People, is it going to do anything or what? So AI really, within the next few years, will be able to.
What exactly are people going to do? So AI will really be able to do a lot within the next few years. It's obviously a question of what we all will do. Almost every cognitive task that doesn't involve atoms. AI will be able to do that in 3 or 4 years at most. Another part of that is robotics. AI can't just think in a data center. It has to do things. You need robots, and you need self-driving cars that people have experienced.
So he's being asked, what's it going to look like in the future? What part is AI going to play? And then they also go into statistics that most people assume that AI will play a big role in the future, and the more we move into the future, the bigger the role of AI will be here. And then he simply says, hey, AI is going to change everything. And when he was asked what AI will do for us in the future, that's what he says. Just everything. AI will do everything you can imagine and a whole lot more that you can't even think of. Let's go from here. Automatically take over. So whether it's self-driving cars or self-regulating cars, self-driving cars, whether it's houses here that are then built by robots, whether it's cars that are built by robots, whether it's any online stuff. I already use AI every day. For example, I now have an AI-generated YouTube channel. Check this out. It syncs my lips, it syncs my speech, it even takes my accent and basically translates it into English. Well, not my accent, but how do you say the speech tonality? The speech characteristics, it really sounds like my voice. And the crazy thing is, the AI speaks better English than I can myself. So, I'm partly shocked, myself, how good the AI clips are. And the channel is really picking up speed. The English channel is of course still smaller than this one. The German channel has already got around 80,000 views per month. And that's really what's coming in the future. That AI is really going to catch us off guard. We'll get to that in a moment. What this has to do with Bitcoin. He's actually going to talk about money in the next part. And how this has to do with money. That is highway.
The ratio of human growth was to humans my year's ashes its. At least read on for the one, very 5-to-1. Source to give that 2030 boy in. Humanoid robots. Explosive. If there's a significant cap on the economy, I think at that point, something that things haven't gone, the way we expected. In the good AI scenario, I think we won't have universal basic income, we'll have universal high income.
So this is absolute dynamite. He's talking about robotics, that there are going to be more robots and stuff. But that's not really the relevant part. The relevant part is where he really says he doesn't even know what role money will play in the future. What money will even mean in the future, when we basically live in a society of abundance. So from abundance, where there's basically everything in excess, where we won't have to worry about it anymore. Like climbing up the trees here, for example. Where are we at here? Up here. For example, getting the coconuts up there from the trees. That can all somehow be done by a robot or something. That's definitely a very freaky scenario. I don't even know if I should think that's good or bad. Certain technologies emerge and cannot be ignored. When they make life easier and more efficient, they usually take hold. And if it just, let's say, makes life so much more efficient and so much easier, then usually such technologies also prevail. He also says he doesn't know what the economy will look like. That means neither the economy nor money. It's like this, I'd say. Safe what that looks like. Because right now, it's like this, we live in an inflationary world. That means money keeps expanding all the time, and we basically have constantly rising prices. And we're basically seeing the deflationary. We don't really see technological development reflected in the prices. That means prices keep going up, and everyone thinks, well, yeah, that's just normal. That's just the way of nature. But what could happen now? Technological progress will strengthen existing deflationary tendencies in technology, likely leading to a deflationary environment. Even in monetary policy, currently economic productivity is 2% per year with a 6% inflation rate. If this trend continues, a shift to a deflationary environment in monetary policy is expected. Right now, for example, we have an economic productivity of 2% per year, but an inflation rate of 6%. That means in the end, prices will be 4% higher. So, because of deflation, prices actually become 2% cheaper because it gets easier to build houses, easier to build cars, easier to do all sorts of things. That means houses will be 2% cheaper, cars will be 2% cheaper, and your groceries will be 2% cheaper. But because the money supply increases by 6%, that's just an example. The bottom line is that prices will simply be 4% more expensive. But if things switch around and suddenly we have, let's say, 10% economic productivity just through technological progress, through AI and a lot of other things. On the other hand, the inflation rate is here, 6%. Then suddenly we have no inflation here anymore. In a positive sense, we have a deflation of 4%. That means even in a fiat system, because we have such massive technological growth, we've entered a deflationary phase here. That means the central bank would have to step in by printing even more money, for example. So, deflationary technological tendencies obviously allow the central bank to further exploit its money monopoly. Or people are smart and get it. That the natural state of a free market is deflationary. And then you realize that the only money that reflects these deflationary characteristics is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is because it has a completely fixed supply. And with Bitcoin, this deflationary trend would be even more pronounced. Because Bitcoin has a tendency to gain purchasing power. That means everything is already being priced cheaper in Bitcoin. We already have deflationary tendencies. That means the house gets cheaper every year. It used to cost 10 Bitcoin. Now it costs 5. Fifth, Bitcoin will soon cost 1 Bitcoin, and eventually it will cost 0.1 Bitcoin. And that combined with AI could lead to that life here is really going to get a lot cheaper. That there really is a society of abundance here. That we can achieve a lifestyle and standard of living that you can hardly imagine right now. If the fiat money monopoly were to fall, then Bitcoin would fit in so perfectly. And now pay attention, because here comes the most important thing to understand. So it's best to slow it down to half speed now. Or whatever. Watch this whole thing on a loop now. If we have massive productivity through AI, and if the fiat money monopoly were to fall, it should be because people understand that we need deflationary technological change, or let's say not deflationary money. But we need hard money because Bitcoin isn't really hard money yet. That also means when everything is abundant and everything is very, very easily available, then people will go after grabbing what's the scarcest, and yet can still be used here as money and as an asset. And what is the superior store of value here that can't be expanded? That is limited in an increasingly extreme, more productive world, with productivity skyrocketing, with AI technology that you can hardly even imagine, in a world of abundance and a society of plenty that you can't even imagine right now. So I can tell you for sure people are going to go after that hard. What's absolutely limited is if all of a sudden, let's say, going to work doesn't matter anymore, if we suddenly arrive in a society of abundance, then people are going to be craving Bitcoin. And the craziest thing is, what kind of money will AI need? Using when we have self-driving cars here, when we have robots and so on. They won't be using fiat money, where you don't know how I can plan for the future. It's not about how the money supply changes and so on. Instead, you're going to rely on decentralized technology. So we have several reasons why Bitcoin is a massive beneficiary of all this AI development and technological progress. If we have technological progress, it is only obvious here that Bitcoin and technological progress have to be combined here. There's just no other way. We're really stepping into a completely new era here. And this era is the era of abundance, of AI, of robotics, and much more. And yeah, I know that might scare some people. And I don't always think the development is great and all. And then everything is just somehow digitized. AI, and then you end up just working with robots. I've even seen robots now that are supposed to somehow replace your friends. Social robots. Human relationships are better than robots. A human relationship is just so much better than having some robots working for me and then pretending to be best friends with these robots or something. But you just can't ignore the development that's happening here. And then pretending to be best friends with these robots or something. But you just can't ignore the development that's happening here. And that's basically the important thing that you need to understand now. If such a development really comes about, as Elon Musk predicts, then it is not optional having Bitcoin. But then everyone who doesn't have Bitcoin is going to lose out big time. Elon Musk is even talking about universal basic income here, where he says he still sees something critically here. Because then a lot of people say, okay, then there won't be any jobs left, and blah, 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 and so on. I actually don't see that as a problem. If we really have such massive technological progress, then productivity is also going to be so high that you probably won't have to work 40 hours anymore. If we have hard money, then you'll have to work even less. Maybe it'll be enough to work just 5 hours a day. And you can still afford a lot of prosperity. And if those jobs disappear, then maybe new industries will pop up somewhere else. That's always the fear. With technological progress, yeah, a lot of jobs are going to disappear. Yeah. First, the jobs are going to disappear, but then there might be something else popping up somewhere else. In that case, it could actually be that we won't need as many jobs anymore, because there's just not as much productivity, not as much purchasing power being pulled out of society. Because we simply have the economic productivity, the efficiency, the technological progress, and that combined with Bitcoin. I mean, that would be totally awesome. And above all, Elon Musk should really be able to put 2 and 2 together here. So I still wonder why it's so hard for some people to understand Bitcoin. The approach he just brought up where he says, here, the future of money is still uncertain for him, so he really should come to a conclusion. Hey, Bitcoin is the perfect tool. If we transition into an abundance society here. But let me know what you think about that. And if you want to buy Bitcoin now, I'll put a link down below for you. 21 Bitcoin, the easiest way to buy Bitcoin in Europe. Super easy, simple. With the code Bitcoin, you can get up to 20% off the fees when buying Bitcoin. Absolutely recommended for beginners and advanced users. Here, there are many more features like auto, wallet, transfer, savings plans, limit orders, and so on. Let me know what you think about Elon Musk. See you then. Peace out.